Today we're going to start a little project that will take some inputs and and then put them out on the screen. And the whole point of the project is just to explore a little bit the security API. It's an open source library that people use quite extensively to make sure that their websites are safe and difficult for hackers to get into. So here we're going to start our project. We're just going to go ahead and make it a Tomcat project. And next thing we need to do is include the security API. So we'll go off to the Maven repository. And search for the EsApi project and pick just the latest version and grab that dependency and put it into our pom.xml file. Now that we have the file, the library included, next thing to do is create a little something to serve up a page. Like the easiest thing is just a simple JSP file. Now what we're going to do is add a few inputs. Maybe a name, a date, and yeah, that should do it. An email address, let's say. Now the type on the input field is just a hint to the browser to show previous inputs that have been put in by the user, for quick picks. It's quite useful, and so an easy way to make a screen richer, appearing richer without any effort really on your part. And of course, the inputs need to be wrapped in a form so that they can actually be submitted back to the service. And we'll add a button to actually do the submitting. So in the old days, we used to try to format pages using a bunch of complicated tables, maybe nested tables, and a lot of tricks of that sort. These days, what we do instead is use style sheets and work out either some sort of grid pattern, that sort of thing. And in this case, what we're going to do is create a grid with two columns in it. And how grids work is that first there's an outside container to the grid, and then there are the individual items inside the grid. And how the browser understands that there are the number of columns is by the number of entries there on that grid template columns line inside the grid container. So here we're simply just creating tags for each item inside the grid container. And once we get the first line done essentially in the grid, then we can just do a lot of copying and pasting to get the other lines all set up. So just wrap everything in these divs. Make sure not to miss any. And carefully double check everything, make sure everything's quoted properly, no spelling mistakes, and off we go. So you'll have noticed that the second line was not quite aligned properly, so we need to make sure everything's left aligned in the second column. So we'll just move the second column over like so by changing the class. There we go, now they're nicely lined up. And you'll see the hint on the type makes these fields give you the right kind of information. It's wonderful, actually.